Constance, I have a very profound question for you.
All right.
That I've been thinking about all the time. So last time when we spoke about your book. And what I want to know is about what you do in terms of when it comes to helping people, connecting to people, that aspect of what you do. Because I was thinking, I was speaking to somebody over the weekend. We had a workshop and we're telling them about the course. And well, I want to know, in case they aren't a fit for what we do, I can say, hey, you know what? I want to send you to Constance. Constance is precisely because we don't do exactly the same thing. And sometimes different people are different fits. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Right. So
That's right.
that's what I want to know is like, hey, Constance, if I need to send somebody to you to get them to fit with you, I want to know exactly what you do in that context. So I'm very keen to hear that. Very important to me.
Well, yeah. So the book, Awakening from Anxiety, A Spiritual Guide to Living a More Calm, Confident, and Courageous Life, came out of my work with my individual clients in my counseling office here in Redwood City, California. But I've been called to work with people around the world to be able to work online and do an online group. And so I'm right now doing the beta developing of a 8-week program called Awakening from Stress and Anxiety. And it'll be based on keys from the book. It actually might be 9 or 10 weeks. I'm trying to decide exactly how long to make it. But it'll be a group format. So we'll have a weekly call on Zoom. That'll be an hour-and-a-half class where we'll go over one of the chapters, one of the 7 keys, and doing some exercises and practices together for that. And then people will be partnered up with someone to work on those practices outside of. We'll have an ongoing. Yeah, so that there's, accountability and support. I mean, people need support from each other. We'll also have an ongoing Facebook group, a private group for discussion about whatever we're working with that week or whatever's coming up for people. And I'll be sending out a weekly email and a video with a practice and some more information about what we're working on that particular week. And of course, it will include a copy of my book in it. So,
brilliant.
And it's focused on not just overcoming or even transforming stress and anxiety in our lives, but using those as part of our spiritual awakening, our personal growth and our spiritual awakening, because I always feel that anxiety and stress, or any emotion really, has a message for us and can deepen our connection to the divine and our expansion and growth of our true self.
Fantastic. Oh, I love that. So for me to do a takeaway on what you're saying, you are leveraging, I'll just use my terminology because that's just the way I work, I think. So you're leveraging anxiety and stress in a positive way as a springboard, as a pathway, as a portal, as an opening into spirituality, right?
Yes, as a pathway to spirituality.
Right.
Absolutely.
Using that as the entry point, right? Because you're saying now, hey, whoever's joining your course, you're saying you're already connected to anxiety and stress and all that. Would you know where that is? We're going to take that where and we're going to move you from that into spirituality.
Yes. Well, it's like a mystic, right? A mystic sees the divine in everything and welcomes in as a connection to something greater.
Right.
But a lot of times we don't want to see the unpleasant emotions that come up for us and the unpleasant that we might end up in life as, I'll do all the meditation and all the lovely, heart-opening, beautiful, peaceful experiences. That'll help me awaken to the divine. But I don't want to deal with this uncomfortable stuff over here, my anxiety, my fears. But welcoming all that in it's actually a fast track. It's actually to deepen spiritually that way. Then putting all that energy into resistance and avoidance and thinking that we're going to by just going to the white light, right, and avoiding all the
Right. And also, you're not asking people to jump right out of something that they're familiar with, that they know they need to deal with, and say, "Oh, never mind all that. We're not going to," and jump right into something that's unknown and unfamiliar. You're going to transform the stress and the worry and the anxiety, and incrementally make it into spirituality so that you go from where you are and what you're comfortable and but you're going to transform it into something profound and wonderful rather than something bothersome and negative, right?
Yes.
Wow.
As he makes me think about, forgiveness, and that a lot of people have this idea, well, forgiveness is beautiful, it's powerful, it is a spiritual quality and practice, but a lot of people want to jump to it. They want to go right from being hurt and wounded and angry to, okay, what's the thing for me to do is to forgive right now. And it's like you were talking about, so it's, and the same thing with anxiety, it's a process. You have to go through all the many different layers and aspects of that to forgiveness. It's really a deep dive within and looking at it from different perspectives before we say, oh, I can truly forgive. And the same thing with anxiety. It's not just go, oh, I'm not going to be afraid anymore. I'm just going to trust. Well, there's a little bit there between those two,
that movement from the one place, the known, in other words, to the new, it has to be incremental, because otherwise it's not honest internally, self-honest. And if it's not self-honest, it means absolutely nothing. There's no realness to it. And to get that self-honesty, we can't just say, I'm going to go suddenly from hating this person to forgiving them. That doesn't work. You have to go incrementally. It doesn't work. So, and the same thing with going from worry and stress to spirituality, has to be incremental. That's very, very vitally important. And a lot of people don't really connect to this. And unfortunately, I blame that fake it till you make it nonsense. That's they are trying to get you to jump all the way and just pretend that no, it doesn't work. Be real about it. Make that incremental shift to say, okay, yes, I hate them, but I'm going to hate them slightly less, and then slightly less, and then eventually I'm going to forgive them. You move in that incremental path. Yeah,
I agree. I think being real and authentic is essential. That's where it's we become resistant when we are trying to avoid what is real.
Yeah.
And when we can embrace what is real, what is true for us, and just as one of my teachers, Leonard Jacobson, says, confess it. Okay, right now I'm really pissed off right now, but I mean, if I was, just owning it, like, okay, that's where I'm at right now. And once you own that, once you're in that real place, that self-honesty that you're talking about, then you can actually do something about it.
Exactly.
You can't do anything about it if you're not being real and honest and in bringing it to your consciousness.
Right. Yeah.
Mary's making a comment. She says, wow, it makes me immediately think of all that stress and anxiety I negotiated when Paul was dying. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's a positive thing from Mary's story.
I would not be where I am today for not having been through all that. That's absolutely true. And we don't want to have to go through those journeys. We'd rather not, because they're painful. But yes, that's a big part of who you've become today, how you've deepened in your growth and your spirit through going through that probably very painful, anxious, anxiety-producing experience. I'm sure you know about it still.
Yeah. Oh, well, I know Mary's story too. I mean, we kind of went into it, and she shared her story very profoundly, and I encouraged her to share that in a post. That she write it out in a beautiful story. And what she did is she transitioned really and took all of that, the stress really, but she used it in exactly the way you're saying, and it took her to a place of peace. And now, Paul is in her heart with joy and love and just the awesomeness. He's still with her. It's not like separate, you know what I mean? So she's integrated that all, and she's at peace with herself, and she's at peace with Paul having transitioned, and it's a beautiful, wonderful, marvelous, fantastic thing. So Mary's saying, in essence, she's done precisely what you are advocating, taking the stress and leveraging it to actually get to a profound place of being. So
absolutely.
Most
because
awesome.
I think that the stress, the anxiety, the fear, all of that comes up because it's something within you wanting to awaken and wanting to become empowered. Right. It's giving you that flag, like this is an area to look at right now for your empowerment, for your growth, for your expansion. And that's why it's scary. That's why it's anxiety producing.
Why?
But that's where the real juice and the power and the transformation is happening.
It's fantastic. Just on a related point, Mary, if you would share that post of your story, your Paul story. That's such a
I
beautiful,
love
profound story.
that.
Yeah, share it to the group, and then we'll share it to Connie's group as well, and we'll share it to the pages and everywhere because it's pertinent and relevant to what we're talking about. And this applies to anything for anybody ever. If anybody's watching this later, if there's some post or story that's relevant and connected to what we're talking about, please share it because it really adds
Absolutely.
so much. It's really magical. And that way we collaborate, all of us together, to get to that more that we so love, that capital M more, yeah?
Great. Thanks, Mary. Yeah. And is watching this afterwards or right now, feel free to comment, to post, to
Yeah.
ask questions. And if it's afterwards, we'll go back through and we'll address your responses, your questions, or comments.
Right. Yeah, we're very diligent when it comes to responding to comments. It's a big deal to us. We leverage Mr. and Mrs. A to to be on them. We don't miss a single one, or at least we try not to.
It's part of our impeccability, right? So
Exactly. Being thorough and disciplined and being scrupulous. Yeah, it's very important. Because if you don't do that, that you then feel like, oh, I haven't done everything, and then that drains your energy. That's what people don't realize. They think they're actually
right,
getting
right,
away with something. No, you're actually worse off in terms of your energy management. Just do it already and get it over and done with.
right, because it's hanging out there. Back in
Exactly.
your unconscious, it's hanging out there,
Exactly.
using energy, saying hello,
Right.
hey.
Right. Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. It's like when we have windows open in our computer. When your computer's working slowly, you got too many little programs
right,
open.
that's
Exactly
right.
the same logic. We don't want
It
that
is.
within ourselves. So when we're not impeccable and we haven't done something we think we need to do, it just drains energy. So it's actually less energy efficient than actually doing it and getting it over and done with. Yeah. So,
It's
and
true.
yeah, it's very profound. Now, let me ask you, Connie, because I really want to know what you do. Because if people ask me, say, okay, Connie's going to move me from my stress and anxiety, and she's going to move me into spirituality. What does spirituality mean to Connie? Because I can't say I know what it means. So if I want to say, well, I say, you're going to have to ask Connie about that. But at least I say, well, you know what? I don't want woo-woo stuff or whatever. I don't know what might be they say. I just want to at least give them something that I can tell them what spirituality means to you.
Well, first of all, as an interfaith minister, which is what my training was in terms of becoming a ordained minister, that's really up to the individual. Like, I support each person's sense of what their spirituality is. I think, to answer your question, though, for me, spirituality is a personal connection and relationship to something greater than us, and a cultivation of that relationship in our day-to-day life. So that might be called God for some people, but for other people it might be called nature or the universe, or it might be a myriad of names for God or goddess or all that is, or the creator or great spirit. But it also could be a higher principle like love or truth or impeccability. That could be someone's spirituality, is the relationship with that higher truth or archetypal energy of truth or kindness, for example.
Wow,
So,
that's powerful.
yeah, and so I often like to say that atheists can be spiritual too, because they don't have to believe
Absolutely.
in a God. They can believe in serving all life on the planet. That's
Right.
spiritual, in my opinion.
Absolutely. That's very spiritual. I agree. I just want to say a quick welcome to Bina and to Timothy. And
Oh, hi,
Timothy,
Leanne.
right.
Welcome back.
And Timothy is somebody who has a particular level of discernment and in ferreting out bullshit. He's quite awesome in that. So yeah, I'm pleased to see you, Timothy. I'll be very interested to hear your comments. Everybody's comments, but since you've never joined one of these before, I'm particularly keen to hear. So more
Great.
on that, Constance, you said something that is very powerful. Just interfaith minister. It's the interfaith, all faiths, and even that includes no faith, right?
Right.
As a faith.
Right. And
Right.
I'm passionate about the reason I studied interfaith ministry, because I'm so fascinated and so called to what is universal, what is amongst pretty much all of the spiritual traditions, or at least most of the major ones, all the ones that I've explored, and I've explored quite a few. There are some basic concepts that are universal, universally spiritual,
Wow.
non-harm, loving kindness,
Yeah.
truth,
Yes.
patience, forgiveness, empowerment, from within, not over other people. And there's some universal principles that's where I want to really focus, where we have what we have in common, what we share.
Wow.
It's really the direction we have to go on the planet right now, is finding our common ground together with others spiritually, because that brings us meaning in life, and that gives us purpose, like to word intent.
Yes.
That our spirituality is essential to all of that, to what we're here.
Right. It connects us to some more that we're not sure what it is, and we're going to connect to it. Now, I'd like to add something in there just from where I come from. We like to say, belief's not required. It doesn't actually matter whether the more is real or not. Simply the idea of connecting to a more gives us feeling of value and meaning and purpose. Doesn't actually matter whether it truly exists or not. For the skeptics out there, the point is, if I'm getting real value and usefulness, that's what I connect to. Doesn't matter if I'm getting it from somebody. So in other words, I can get real value and usefulness out of watching a movie. The movie's not real. It's not about real stuff, but I'm getting real value because I'm learning something. I'm growing something. It's giving me a good feeling. So it doesn't matter. It may turn out to be real or not. Either way, we're going to get value in the meantime. And that's what we do in terms of, because I also connect to anybody. It doesn't matter where you're coming from or I have no things, but we make that sophisticated understanding that it actually doesn't matter. The value and the usefulness now is real, right?
Absolutely. I agree completely. And, I think we waste a lot of our energy on trying to figure out, is it real or not? And
exactly.
Brings up the question of what is real? What is real? We may one understanding of something is real, and then 3, 5, 10 years later down the road, we realize, oh no, that was just one layer, and now this is real. And there's going to be an infinite number of expanding awarenesses of what is true reality.
Exactly.
And I was saying to my husband last night, I like the freedom of not knowing.
Absolutely, yes.
Just embracing the mystery and letting go of knowing mind that has to figure it all out. And simply walking the path and seeing what's available and unfolding in this next moment. And not spend my time trying to figure out what is real or not. What is real will reveal itself to me.
Exactly. And it's a shifting target anyway. What's real is a shifting target. However, what we can say is real, it's how I'm feeling. If I don't feel it, it's not real. And that really, at bottom line, in both of what we do, yes, we have different pathways to getting there, but in the end, much of it is very much the same. We're taking those different pathways, but we are saying, hey, it's about feeling how you wish to feel now, because that's real. Doesn't matter what's real externally in the abstract, it's how you feel is real. We're going to change how you feel through leveraging connectivity to more, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Very powerful. It's very powerful. It's a very big deal. And I'm asking just for we got a couple more joins there. Hello, everybody who's joined. Hi, Jonathan. And I saw, I can't scroll this now. I saw somebody else's name and say hello.
How do you know who's joined us still?
Well, it says I don't see the comments, but it says Jonathan joined and Edna Jones joined. I don't know Edna, but hello, Edna. I'm just thrilled to see, but it won't let me scroll for whatever reason. So, Cami, there you go.
Is that on Facebook or on Zoom that you're seeing that?
No, in Facebook. So, yeah. So Cami joined also. Brilliant. Glad to hear you.
I'm seeing the comments and you're seeing who's joined. Hi, Cami.
Yeah, it's very peculiar. I can't see the comments, but I can see who's joining. So I'll just break in and say welcome, because I really like it when people join and it's profound. And please comment. And also, we were saying earlier, if there's a post or anything out there, a link, anything that's relevant and pertinent to what we're talking about, please share it in either our groups or on our timeline, because it really helps the discussion. And I like that collaborativeness, because 1 + 1 + 1 = more, right? So we like collaboration. Collaboration is most
Right.
magical.
Exactly.
So participation is, in other words, collaboration. It's really huge. And we're talking about what Connie does specifically. And she's talking about her course, and our course moves people from stress, worry, anxiety, and uses that specifically, leverages that as a starting point and as a profound, magical, positive to get to spirituality. Not as a negative, but as a positive, as a kind of an advanced springboard to get you to spirituality, right? It's
Yes.
like a jump start, right? Because
Exactly.
you're already geared up, you're motivated, you're energized, you have a bit of pressure, you have a bit of leverage to actually get somewhere. And all it does, it just needs to be tweaked with a bit of perspective shifting. And then suddenly you find, there's some incremental steps, obviously, but you find that you move and you utilize that same energy, but in a positive way. And you use it to connect to something spiritual. Right, Constance? Am I taking
Yes.
away? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And
I
then
wanted to mention that a lot of people, and myself included, on the spiritual path feel like we should be beyond anxiety and stress. We should, okay, I've been meditating, I've been doing yoga, I've been praying, I've been chanting, and I should be feeling more peaceful, or the anxiety or stress shouldn't be coming back because for a while. And I want to let you know that it's normal for it to show up sometimes. It's a normal human emotion to feel anxiety or fear. Not all the time, obviously, but when it comes up again, it's simply another way that spirit is trying to break through or help you, assist you in making a breakthrough or a shift, deeper or greater level of spiritual life. And so that's the way I work with the anxiety in our lives.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And just for those skeptics out here, Connie, just for those joined later as well, Connie was saying that, her basis is that interfaithness, which includes atheists. And for those, we can say, okay, you use the term spirit, but you could just as well replace that with subconscious. It works just as well, right?
Yes, that's true.
Right. I mean, spirit is a greater term. It's a bit more encompassing, but for some, you can regard your subconscious as spirit if you want to. It doesn't really matter. It works. So if that's something, but yeah, for those who like the concept of spirit, of course, there's a greater meaning, but still, it works either way, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to check. Because that's how I use it, and
kinds of terms for it. I was responding to someone who was apparently
I see. Okay.
On the live, so that's why I was a little bit distracted.
Okay.
But
yeah.
You're talking about like the word spirit referring to our own essence. Is that what you're talking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I use a lot of different words. I use essence. I use our true self. I use our divine self.
Deep self.
Find whatever word works for you or phrase for you to describe that. And I just try to come up with the most neutral one I can come up with. But of course, people are always going to have.
Right. So we're elaborating somewhat on this concept of spirituality, and not just the concept of spirituality, but what we are saying is that for both Constance and I, what we do is connect to things in a broader, more abstract way. And we're saying at some point we have to understand that terminology can be limited, and we have to go beyond the terminology. So when we use words like spirit or spirituality, they mean a lot more necessarily than what the general conception of them is. And that's a very profound thing. It's a very big deal to understand and connect from that openness, and to make those terms your own, and to substitute and put in there whatever works for you. And in the live sessions that we do, and in the personal sessions, we will customize and use your term, whichever you prefer, if it matters. But hopefully all of us will get to some point of being where those kind of terms aren't that sticky for us, and we can see the bigger point involved, right?
Right.
That's very important.
It makes me think again of, in our last conversation, we talked a bit about Sanskrit. So one of the Sanskrit words for our higher self, you might say, is the Purusha.
Say
And
the word again, please.
Purusha, Purusha. And so sometimes people find, at least I do, it's nice to use the Sanskrit word because I don't have any other
Mm.
associations with that.
Yes, 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 yes. I like that very much too. Yeah, and Sanskrit is a very abstract, higher level language, so it lends itself to this broad overview perspectives. It's quite fantastic for that. So Purusha means again in Sanskrit.
Purusha is like your divine self, your higher, or spirit.
Wow. 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 Wow.
And
Fantastic.
it's used both in like the individual sense and the bigger sense of the divine, the overall divine essence as well. So Sanskrit philosophy or spirit yogic philosophy talks about the Purusha being that divine essence or spirit, and then the Prakriti it being like nature and the embodiment and the physical form, the physical universe.
Wow. Wow. Just a way of relating it and interconnecting it. I love that. I love that. I just want to say
And there's
hi.
lots of words in Sanskrit for different aspects of your essence. But what were you going to say, sir?
Oh no, I love when you bring the Sanskrit terms in it, because like you said, it removes us from that connectivity to English or our personal language, which might be limited when it comes to these types of terms, because they definitely are. There's a moreness that we're trying to connect to. And in this connectivity, Purusha for me means the more of myself. That's how I relate it, and saying, hey, I am more. I'm trying to connect to that more. I want to be that more, but I also have to know that I am more. I am more than just self. So in the way that this conception is. So there's definitely a larger aspect to me. It's my diagram behind me there. That's all my moreness going there. So
Yes.
I might be that little point down the middle there, but nonetheless, I am connected to more, and I want to explore all of that more. And I also wanted to say hi to Mark David Cohn. I don't know Mark yet, but hello.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. So that's
Thanks for
brilliant.
joining
That's
us.
brilliant. Yes. It's nice to see new people that I don't know. That's really awesome. That's most magical.
I'd love to see you guys comment too, because I can't, well, from my end, I can't tell if you're here or not if you're not commenting. Still can see who's here, and I can see who's commenting.
Right. Facebook is just not working really fluidly today. It's having a bit of a tantrum or something. We don't know, but so I can see who joins. It just tells me so and so joined, but I don't see the comments again. So between the two of us, we're getting things together. Yeah, we love collaboration too.
Norma was trying to watch it from my page, and I don't know if she actually was able to be able to see me. She couldn't see. But at any rate, hopefully she's with us, and if not, maybe afterwards.
Yeah, I can't leave wherever I'm seeing it from. I can't go to my page or to the group. So if somebody's leaving comments there, I don't know. Maybe somebody can watch it in the group and see. Olivia, maybe to watch the live in the group and see the message. Yeah, Olivia just came to say hi.
Hugs.
But I want to get back to this concept of this overallness and of our moreness and of connecting to it from what you were saying. Because I asked you what you do, and you said, you help people from, or your course is about leveraging your stress and anxiety and stuff like that, and using it as a power, as a positive to connect to spirituality. And then I said, all right, now I need to know more what you mean by spirituality. And that's where we're at now. So I want to expand on that a little bit more. In this context of spirituality, we've said this spirituality is the moreness of life. And you may conceive of this nature, you may conceive of the spirit, you may conceive of yourself, your deeper self, subconscious, your higher self, your essence. There's all sorts of ways to connect to this concept of spirituality. But really at essence, I suppose I'm doing a takeaway a little bit here and adding my own view also, in that we say spirituality or spirit is a mechanism for leveraging us to transcend where we are currently at.
I like that. That works really well. As I see the divine and our own spiritual essence and our awareness and our consciousness as infinitely expanding.
There you go.
So we're using that idea to be able to expand into the more, as you're saying, to what more is possible within us, around us. I believe that we're not limited to, the physical body or this space and time location, that we
Right.
are all that is. And so
Right.
we're being more and more aware of that as we grow spiritually, more aware of all that is and our oneness with that.
Right. Now, this diagram, I really love this diagram. It's so representative, because when we're saying we're exploring the more, we're not necessarily going from that little point and going outwards. We're actually coming from the other side. We're actually starting off at one of these outer squares, and we keep moving. We may go a little bit sideways and go sideways again, but we want to get to that point is the real more, because that's where everything starts to connect and it all fits together. And that's when we start connecting to everything and all becomes one, right?
Yes, I can see
The
that.
spiritual path is kind of going towards that. Yeah, it's not moving out. It's not getting more diffuse. It's kind of becoming more concentrated, as it were.
Well, in reality, I think my sense they're both the same thing. Like the expansion and
Yes.
inward,
Yes.
they meet in the same
Yes.
place.
Right. Right.
But
Because
we can in either direction.
yes. Yeah. Because in reality, this would actually be a sphere, and it would loop back on itself. So yeah.
Like what is it called? A toroidal.
You're right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a toroid, I guess, would be the word.
Yes.
But yeah, so it all
Yes.
loops back and it all makes sense. But it's just that from a point of our regular daily lives, we say, we might be stuck. We might get frustrated or bothered or not know how to deal with things. And this is where stress and worry and bother and anxiety, all this stuff comes from, because we're stuck. And typically we get stuck when we're not connected to more, to the greaterness of things, right? And that is what we do, both of us, in our different ways. We are connecting you to more. Now, for me specifically, it's instituting a deliberate way of living, which is the way of impeccability. So it's a way of living, but that way of living and the end point of that is living in attunement, which is a way of living in connectivity with the more. However you may define that more, it may simply be the more of the world, which is the greater politics or greater economy or nature or anything like that. Doesn't really matter, right?
Yes. As you talk about the connectivity to the more, and I think growing into the more, expanding into the more, it makes me think of one of my teachers says, which is true, that plants that are not growing are dying.
So, exactly.
Our essence is always growing. And Mary just made a comment here. Love it. As we grow, our spirituality grows with us. Yes. So our spirituality grows with us. Our understanding of ourselves grows with us as we grow. And that's our divine life and divine essence is one. It's always wanting to grow. It's always wanting to grow. And just like everything, I'm looking out the window right now as I'm saying that, everything out in nature, all the plants are always growing because that's life. Life and spirituality is growth.
Yeah, and it's not just our spirituality growing with us, it's also growing within us.
And as us.
As us. Exactly. It's pretty profound. So really, we can say the pursuit of spirituality is self-exploration, self-discovery.
Yes.
That's a key thing, though. I do feel is a very profound point that I very much would like to make, because that's where we use these terms with an understanding. I'm taking you and I, Connie, where we come from, and our understanding. We don't always necessarily communicate that, and that's what I'm making that effort to communicate that. So we are saying that spirituality or spirit or moreness, it's not something separate to us. It is us. We are looking to make those one and the same, more and more and more and more. So yeah, it's definitely that bringing the two together. Yes, we in our little cocoons and bubbles where we are at the moment, and we, in our nincompoop world, we're going to move beyond that and connect to more, right? Because we know that and we want to be more. So we understand that, but also it keeps us humble because we know that relative to the more, we're always a fraction. And so that's very powerful, but it's also very exciting. We don't want to see being a fraction of the more as something that's a negative. We want to see it as a profound, magical positive. Because think of it this way. It's like, okay, if you think of like games to play, and you say, well, there's always going to be more games to play. There's always going to be more magic to discover. That's a profound boon and a bonus to life. It's not a negative to say, well, I don't know what all the more is. It just means that I've got this infinity of fantasticness to continue discovering, which means I could never possibly be bored.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because a lot of what I encounter on the spiritual path, a lot of people wanting to get to the end result, the end, right, to enlighten or fully awakening. But then we know that in life, endings are death. You know, and the end of life is death. And well, we could go on another. We had a whole big conversation about death last time. But if we are wanting to unfold our spiritual life, then letting go of the idea of that process having an end and an ultimate like enlightenment and then you're done.
No.
I am actually much more excited about the possibility of it continually, infinitely unfolding.
Yes.
Then, like you said, you're never going to be bored. There's always new revelations, new possibilities, new awareness, new consciousness that expand into.
It's huge. It's profound. So, perfection is an infinite more of wonder and magic and mystery and marvel. That's it. It's not static. You know what I mean? You don't want it to be static because that static has an end to it. We don't want endings. We want it just to keep on going. And that's why there's always more. I just love that because it just so connects to that awesomeness of everything. So yeah, it's a profound conception shift. But what does it mean for me today? And to come back to my original question, I always like to keep my center column. I'm asking, what is it that Constance does, right? If I'm going to send somebody to you and you're going to connect people to that spirituality, and you're going to leverage where they are at now specifically as a profound mechanism to connecting to that more, which they're going to use in their day-to-day lives. It doesn't matter. You don't need to be enlightened to change your life today, right?
Right. And going back to what I do, and in terms of working with, for example, this anxiety, which is the topic of the book I've written. When we have the capacity to be with ourselves and hold the most uncomfortable moments, to be able to be resilient through them and embrace them in that quality of being real that we were talking about, and authentic and true self-honesty, that as we're able to be with and hold and be resilient through that anxiety, it develops a strength and a power within us that we would never have if we avoided that. And that is a big part of what opens us to a deeper spiritual awakening through this process of working with the anxiety and the stress, as I bring people through in the book, this journey of being
Man, that's
feel it and then listen to it.
Yeah, I just thinking of, it's such a profound thing what you're saying, because really what you are saying, hey, I'm going to take the realness of who you are, which is, yes, we are not going to deny anxiety or worry or stress. We are going to take that and we're going to transform it into making it a positive realness. We're going to make it into an empowered part of you, not a negative.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. That's very cool.
Absolutely.
That's very cool. Oh man, I know what to say now to send people to you. If that's
real.
Right.
To me, that's real strength.
Oh,
when
yeah.
Be with and hold the fear, the sorrow, or the anger.
Right.
Those are a lot of the painful emotions that people try to avoid. That when we can be with those in a very real, honest way, and hold space for that, and allow that to move through us, and allow that to reveal to us what it's here to reveal, what it's here to teach us, what it's here to share with us and awaken within us. That's far more strong than going through life trying to avoid things that we're uncomfortable with.
Doesn't work.
Then when we can do that, when we have the resilience and the ability to hold that, then we know we're capable of being with anything. We're capable of walking through anything.
And that's empowering.
It's very empowering. It's very empowering. And then the illusions fall away of, oh my gosh, this, I can't handle this, or that's too scary, or that's too awful, or whatever. That, you know, they're all experiences that we're capable of being with and holding. By being able to be with them, we can actually move through them to where the joy of life arises again, and the peace, the inner peace that we long for arises again, because coming from knowing that we're capable of responding and being with anything.
I love it. It's just so magical. You know, it's so simple. And when you explain it, it's, well, that's kind of obvious. Yeah, it's obvious. But as we love to say, it's only obvious once it's obvious. It wasn't obvious until it became obvious. So making the obvious obvious, it's one of our skills. It's where our expertise lies, because we want the profound to be obvious at the end of the day, right?
Right.
And that's what we do. That's really our skill. We make the profound obvious. And it's like, yeah, you might say, well, you know what did I go through? Yeah, because now it's obvious. That's the whole magic of it, that it is obvious. So it's pretty magical. That's really awesome. Constance, I'm just thinking in terms of time. Is there?
Yeah, I've got a little more time since
Oh,
we
okay,
started.
good. Okay, I wasn't sure. You know,
till about 12:45 or so.
oh, okay, good. All right, because now I'm thinking.
Posted that holding space is such a gift, giving and receiving. That's so absolutely true. And then Mary said, adversity does make us stronger and teaches us we can survive it whole.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. We can leverage it and use
us
it.
That it doesn't have power over us, that there's something bigger in us that's bigger than anything that we might experience emotionally or through circumstance.
And that's a core part of what you do. You connect to that bigness, right?
Yes.
That's a very big deal right there. That I mean, you almost want to say that again, please, Constance. Just repeat that last thing that you said.
Yes, that as we learn to work with things like anxiety in the way that I teach people in the book and in my course, we come to know and experience our bigger self, that we're bigger than any painful emotion. We're bigger than any challenging circumstances. Some part of us that's much bigger than that can hold that and that can walk through that and emerge on the other side of that and not be scathed or not be destroyed or devastated by anything that comes in life. That we are bigger and more powerful than anything.
That's the whole point of the spirituality, is to say, hey, we are more.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's huge. That's a big point. Constance, since we have now some extra time here, so now I want to ask. All right. So we said, what are you about? What are you doing? You're moving people from things like stress and anxiety and whatever kind of difficulty they're experiencing, but particularly those that's particular expertise, and you're moving them to spirituality, to that connectivity of more. Now I want to ask, all right, we've got the starting point and we've got the end point. What are the specific tools along the way that you employ?
Well, I can tell you briefly the 7 T's that I take people through in that journey. So the first one is presence. And this is being right here in the moment as it is, with a quiet mind and an open heart. So being present here in the moment as it is, with a quiet mind and an open heart. And it's a very, very powerful practice, and it's the foundation of everything else, because we're not able to be present and we're not able to find some inkling of a quiet mind. I mean, I don't expect it to be completely silent.
Right.
Volume turned down. And if we're not able to have our heart somewhat open in this moment to what is, it would be very difficult to move through something like anxiety, fear, stress, and overwhelm.
Wow.
So start with presence and learning what presence is, experiencing what it is, and doing presence practices. And then we go into embodiment. That a big part of why people feel stress and anxiety is because they're not in their bodies most of the time. And unfortunately, a lot of spiritual people are not in their bodies because they're, maybe meditating or expanding their consciousness, and they're up here a lot, out of even the screen that's, that you're putting me on. And our bodies need us to be in here to feel safe and to feel calm and centered. So, and we still can experience higher states of consciousness and deep states of meditation while still being in our body. So we explore what body embodiment is and how to get fully embodied. And then we work with self-compassion.
That's number 3, self-compassion.
Yes, that's number 3.
All right, so we got presence, embodiment, self-compassion, right? So
yes.
All right.
A lot of us are pretty good at being compassionate towards others and not so good at doing it with ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's bringing some of what we've been talking about the resilience.
Right.
Able to be there for ourselves in moments of pain. So we work with that and we develop those skills and tools. So they're all building upon each other. So then we get to being able to feel the anxiety. Or you can feel any emotion. That's number 4, is feeling it. And what does it feel in the body? And what is it like to actually feel it, rather than what we do most of the time, which is run away from it or avoid it or tell stories about it. So feeling it is not the same thing as thinking about it or telling stories about it. So then we move to, once we're able to do that, to listening to our anxiety.
Right,
so
number 5.
Is the divine message, number 5, that anxiety or stress or worry or overwhelm is bringing us. And then the last 2 steps are empowering action. So then we discern the anxiety itself guides us to what is our empowering action to take. And then finally, the big one is surrender.
Interesting.
To something bigger than us and the bigger process than us, which you would think would create more anxiety, but for me, I found actually moves me through the anxiety to much more inner peace. And figuring it out, or coming up with a strategy, or trying to make it go away, or trying to get over it, or all the strategies that we use to try to hold on to control, and surrender actually what helps us move through it the most.
Wow, I love that. Those
are the 7 in a nutshell. You just got
so we got presence, and then we got embodiment, right? And then the third one,
self-compassion,
and then I just want to go through them all again.
Feeling the anxiety, listening to the anxiety, empowering action, and surrender.
All right, brilliant.
You can't just leap to surrender, right?
No.
Like we were saying earlier, it's a process that gets, if I told people right off the bat, like, surrender, they'd be like,
no, can't do.
I'm going to become more anxious. That scares the living daylights out of me.
Right.
So it's a process.
Absolutely. And I want to emphasize this. I want to really focus on this, because my question is about what you do, right? And I wanted to know personally, because I do connect to people, and sometimes they're not a fit for what precisely how we do it. And I say, I might want to recommend them and refer them to you. So that's where I'm coming from. I have a very particular, pertinent question here. So I want to know exactly what you do. And when it comes to this, both of us, what we do, and it's difficult to sometimes explain, but the key is that we move you from where you are to somewhere else incrementally. That's the key. It's that incremental movement, because we understand the end point and the beginning. Yes, we can tell you the end point, but it's not going to make any sense without you going through those incremental steps. And this is what we do. We move you through those incremental steps of comprehension, understanding, of integration, of application, all of the various things. There's a lot that goes into those incremental steps, because if they're not there, your mind, your body, your wholeness, your deeper self, all of you, it's not going to be real. It won't be honest, and it will be completely meaningless. Like you said, you can't just jump right into surrender as the end point. Or for us, again, we just say attunement, very much the same thing, but a different slant on a different angle. But you can't jump right into those endpoints. It has to be incrementally. It's very important. And that is what we do. We help to move you incrementally so that you are fully that you're fully comfortable with each stage, because you can't move to the next step until you're fully comfortable with this step. Right?
It's absolutely true. And I think if you think about, did I say that? I think if you think about right now I'm thinking about yoga, but any kind of undertaking, actually, no matter what you do, right? Any sport, any art or craft, any business skill, you have to go incrementally. For example, when I would, and I've seen this happen actually in classes, but it's not a wise idea to take a beginner and put them right into headstand.
No.
It's not safe for the neck. There's so many things that have to be understood in terms of proper alignment so that you don't hurt your neck or some other part of your body doing that. There's certain kind of, like, you have to have certain upper body strength in your arms, flexibility in your triceps and your chest muscles to be able to have your arms in the proper position to be able to do headstand. So, a lot of people, they want to jump to what's advanced. And 99.9% of people cannot do that without some sort of injury or difficulty arising in their path by trying to leap to the end. The incremental steps, as you say, Sil, are essential because then you're building upon skills and awareness that will allow you to grace with more grace. You love the word grace, and I do. Move through to where we want to expand to, where we want to open to.
Right. We have to have that appropriate. Sorry, say again.
I was going to say, I know that you're big on that in the way of impeccability. You know how to teach the way you know how to take people through those incremental steps as well.
Right. It's appropriate preparation. And yes, the other profoundness of it. Yes, we think we want that endpoint, but really we can only use that endpoint if we have the intermediate points fully consolidated in us. That is where the empowerment comes from. It's from having all of those tools in place. It's very, very, very important.
Right. Yeah, like in yoga, I mean, it's not just the physical stuff. You have to understand what the energy in your body and the use of your energy in the body, and core of the body, and how the energy flow should be going in order to support you in something like headstand, for example. So, absolutely. Right.
We need to be psychologically balanced as well as physically balanced as well as emotionally balanced in order to do that headstand, just for argument's sake. But those are all preparation steps, and that applies to life. Yes, we want to be able to do headstands in life, but we need that balance in the entirety of ourselves, in the underlyingness of ourselves, to get to that point of profound, supreme overall balance. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's very important to understand that those incremental steps in between, that's where the power lies. That's what enables the more. Yeah.
And those incremental steps can be, I experience them as so profound and so beautiful and joyful of themselves. Just that, like, you keep going back to, like, the simplicity of things. I love that. That the path really is very simple. But very profound. It's in the very simple things that I experience the deepest spiritual awakening. And so those little incremental steps may seem insignificant, but when you're really fully embodying them and exploring them with the whole of your awareness and your attention in the present moment, they are far more profound.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's the magic of it. When we really connect to things with the fullness of ourselves, then we suddenly, that connecting to the more, that now we've transformed the mundane into the sublime because we're doing it with the fullness of ourselves. It's a huge big deal. It's a very big deal.
Yes, it is. It's transforming the mundane into the sublime. That's a perfect example. Because, when I'm outside, all around me, I see everything as miracles.
Exactly.
People just look at this as an ordinary tree bark, ordinary, weed over there. I look at it all as amazing manifestations of divine energy, the divine creation in infinite myriad forms. How is that not a miracle all the time?
I agree. Everything is a miracle, including us. There's always magic, and if you don't believe in magic, as Biella is so fond of saying, hey, if you don't believe in magic, for heaven's sake, broaden your definition.
Absolutely. You're right.
Come on, man. If you don't want to believe in magic, you're just losing out. So broaden your definition and, start connecting to magic. As far as I'm concerned, science is magic. There you go. Life is easy. Nature is magic. So it's all magic to me. And that way I have fun and it's profound. I want to make something very important point here. because we talked about like surrender or attunement being the end point. They aren't actually really an end point. Why? Because when we get there, we see how it all loops back, like my diagram behind us here. It all loops back and it's actually all one thing. So it's not really an end point. It's just an idea. And only reason we have it because we have to deal with time and we have to somewhat move in a direction. But when we do get to those supposed endpoints, they actually become starting points, and then they become connecting points, and they all loop back to the start, and it all fits together, and it all makes sense. And that's what we're after. So it's not really an endpoint. It's where things start to make sense, and we can use everything now and get value out of it and live in that more, and live connected to magic, live connected to awesome, to miracle, to the divine, however we want to describe it, right?
Yes, I love how you say that they loop you back to the start again. But the start so in other words, yes, like surrender it's the seventh key of the seven keys I talk about in my book, but it's not the beginning of the next level of awareness. But that it will, getting to that point, will transform the experience of the anxiety. But I remember when I was back in graduate school, and I always loved this metaphor, they talked about how personal and spiritual growth is like a spiral. And so you are...
You took it right out of my mind. I'm thinking of the spiral fable. I was going to pull it up on my page and share it, but you just pulled it right out of my mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like the cosmos and the universe, right? It all goes in the spiral. And we spiral, and we do keep returning to the same point, but the spiral is expanding and going up. And so every time we come back to that spot, we're actually on a slightly different level, right? So I'm coming back. But so, and a lot of people on the path of growth, whether it's personal, spiritual, think, oh my God, why is this here again? I thought I got over this issue. Am I fighting? Have I failed? Like, no. It's you're re-experiencing it now from a whole other level of awareness and consciousness. And now you can remove a deeper layer of the onion, or if you don't like that metaphor, you expanding and growing in a much more profound way through a similar portal, but it's just another layer of or level of the spiral.
Right. What I like to think of it like the spiral fable, it kind of starts off as this little circle, and then there was a break in the circle, right? And if we see that little break in the circle saying, oh, wait a second, you know what? I can and so it starts to consume itself. Right. And now you kind of consuming yourself, and you get back to that starting point. But because you now have consumed yourself, you're a little fatter than you were before, a little bigger than you, a little more. So you're not quite at the same point. But now you still see that tail there, and then you do that again. And each time you spiral, you now take what you were before, and you're consuming what you could be from that different perspective, and you keep adding to yourself. And as such, you keep, like the diagram behind there, you keep spiraling towards this point, where that spiral goes faster and faster, because you have more with which you can connect to, and you learn more. So you grow every time through the re-examination of yourself with the addition of your past self or your previous self, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does.
But it's a huge, profound leveraging mechanism, because yes, we see the same things, but we see it from a different perspective, because we've added our learning to it. Our what we were before, we've now added, because we've consumed ourselves, right, in the learning process.
Yes, it's interesting that you talk about consuming yourselves, because if you're looking at yogic philosophy, certainly many aspects of Hindu philosophy, they talk a lot about dissolving the ego, or releasing the ego, or unwinding, which is another similar kind of spiral thing, unwinding the samskaras, or the latent tendencies that we have built over lifetimes of certain patterns of thinking and behavior. I'm going back to what we were talking about last time, the spiritual paradox, that we're both expanding and consuming, ourselves, speak like the ego, but also going inward to our letting go of all of the ideas of limitation or definitions that we have of ourselves. So it's both that expanding out and going in, and like we were saying, it's like a toroid.
Exactly.
At the same time.
Why? It's very profound. Yeah. I mean, the more we connect to ourselves, and the more we integrate ourselves, and the more we make peace with ourselves, the more we not only become tighter, but we also expand both at the same time. It's really profound. It's really fantastically awesome. So yeah, I love that. I love that. There's more of a logic that comes through. So I just want to say hello, yeah, to somebody on Messenger who asked me before, and just want to say they asked where we were, and we are live now. So hi, Christine.
Yes.
If you come on later, I don't want to be typing. But yeah, that conundrum or that contradiction, it's a seeming contradiction. But the more we get integrated and the more we make peace with ourselves, we don't have these little loose bits. They come together. But when we come together with ourselves, we kind of make peace. We get ourselves together. Then we also expand at the same time. It's really profound, you know. And so
Mm.
letting go of the limitations of self, of ego, it's not actually the fear of the ego that it's losing itself. No, it actually goes beyond itself. So we almost have to trick our ego into leveraging it to say, hey, you know what, if you let go, you're going to be more. And that sort of appeals to ego, and it's a way we should let it go. We have to leverage ego, let's trick it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, trick it a little bit. Give ego. One of my teachers, Leonard Jacobson, talks about giving our ego a job to do. You know, that if we're here and living in a body, we need an
Wow.
ego for a certain extent
Wow.
to pay the bills, drive the car, etc. So
Wow.
we give our ego little jobs to do, and then we can focus
Wow.
our consciousness, our awareness on our
Wow.
personal growth. And the ego doesn't have to be involved in that part.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to manage ourselves because, you know, we like to say, I is more than one, and that's grammatically correct. So I is more than one. In other words, we like to think of ourselves as a singular thing, but actually we have, like the computer, it's not just one program. Yes, it may have the operating system, but we run all sorts of little programs to do specific things. We want to do accounting, we run accountancy program, Mr. A. You know, we want to have fun, we run our gaming program, and that's Mr. Play, and so on and so forth. We have these little sub-personalities which are very geared to specific tasks. And it's useful to understand that. Now, of course, eventually we want to transcend that. But in the meantime, we need to understand that we have these, and some of them are legacy things, like, you know, Mrs. Stubborn or Mrs. Brat or whatever, or Mr. Brat. You know, they come from legacy things from when we're children, and we explored that potential path of being. But we say, it seemed good in the beginning, but it was a dead end, you know. But so we have to let it go. But they still have uses sometimes in specialized areas. So when we realize that we have these aspects, we can manage them, deal with them, and put them to bed and make peace with them, and then move on to our greater integrated whole, which is our connection to spirit, right?
Yes. Can you say more about that I is more than one?
Right. So let's take it when we start off. For instance, the very first thing we learn as children is we learn the value and benefit of complaining. We get rewarded for complaining, right? That's it. So we're actually
It's
taught.
true.
We're not just taught, but we are rewarded and reinforced for complaining. And that's a way of being. In other words, we develop a complaining personality, a sub-personality. However, the moment we stop being babies, we start being, you know, we get the reverse conditioning. Say complaining no longer works. It's no longer appropriate. It's no longer. So we have to unlearn that way of being and develop a new one. Right. But that complaining little sub-personality, it stays with us because the total selves never likes to throw anything away. Because even later in life, sometimes complaining does work. You know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So we never throw anything away, but we have to realize that we develop these sub-personalities because they
Right.
have usefulness. However, their usefulness is very limited in very particular context. So the same thing with, like, say, Mr. Stubborn or
True.
angry. They all are limited personality programs which we explore, and we say, yeah, they have use, but they don't really work in the overallness. But they stay with us, and we have to understand that. So that's why I is more than one. The I of the totality of ourselves is comprised of all these little mini personalities, which, like
That's absolutely true.
right. Like Mr. A. I love my Mr. A. He's very useful. Like when it comes to editing. Oh, he's a profound editor. I love Mr. A. He's very detailed. He watches all the full stops and the periods and the commas and all that stuff is very good. But he
Mm-hmm.
can be very anal as well, and he can get in the way and be a nuisance when it comes to when, hey, sometimes mediocrity is the best way to go. So we have to understand them and manage them appropriately and say, okay, here's your task. This is where you're good at. go for it. You're not appropriate now. Just find some other aspect to use. So when we understand that we are comprised of these little mini personalities or sub programs, we can leverage them and useful and make peace with them, and we don't get into a battle with them. That's where the problems come. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So we have to
Absolutely.
we have to appease those mini programs sometimes, and kind of, we can do that virtually. But that's a long story, but that's the core of it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it sounds like we work very similarly, because I work a lot with subpersonalities with my clients too, and they're all valuable. They all have something to do.
Yeah.
But I think especially the child parts of ourselves, those parts are our joy and our playfulness and our creativity and our spontaneity. But all parts, like you said, your A part of yourself, all these different aspects. And it's important. I find it's really helpful to know what part of me is, bringing this issue up right now or reacting this way, because you would respond differently to, say, a 5-year-old child part of yourself than you would to the A part of yourself, or the part of yourself that's the perfectionist or something.
Right.
And they have different approaches and different responses and different gifts.
Right. It's how we use them that's very important. For instance, I love Mr. Stubborn and Mr. Pride, or Miss Stubborn and Miss Pride. I love them. Why? Because I can take stubborn pride in not being egotistical, or not being offendable, or not being insultable, right? So now I've taken stubbornness and pride and made it into a positive thing. So, okay, you can't insult me. That's it. I did this as a kid. It was a big deal. I even bet people. I just leveraged Mr. Stubborn and Mr. Pride into something positive instead of something negative. So you can use them positively. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you changed their job description. So they still
exactly.
And they still have a role and a function, but a different kind of description.
Exactly.
Like I do that a lot with my clients, where say it's fear that comes up, and fear usually, or anger even, both of them could be a protector. They're trying to protect them.
Yes.
Right. So we reframe them as the protector. We give them a new description. We give them new tasks to do. And that way we're not looking at parts of ourselves like, oh, I don't like that Ms. Pride in me. I'm going to get rid of Ms. Pride. I'm not.
No.
Right. That's only doing violence to ourselves, right? And to pieces that we like and we don't like. Whereas welcome them all in, then they all have a useful role to play. And like you said, framing them with positivity.
Right. Putting them to good use. Yeah, leveraging them, because they are profound, and we cannot actually get rid of them. Ourselves, we cannot actually delete something from our files. It's not possible. We can save it in the basement and we can pretend it doesn't exist. Right. But we don't ever throw anything away, because we know they might be useful. So we can't throw it away, because they all.
I agree.
Right. Everything is appropriate.
Christine has joined us. Thanks for joining.
Brilliant. Hi, Christine. See, now you're seeing the joining, and I didn't see that. So I don't know. Who knows what's up with Facebook?
She commented. She said hello. Always
man.
positive. And Mary added, my child always lives within me. And that's true. Yes. Mine too. You can get them together.
Right. And what we like specifically is to say we want to maintain our innocence. We don't want to just maintain it. We want to do so deliberately. Now, a lot of people say, oh, you can't do that. Well, I'll tell you right now, you don't have to believe me. Just go out and test it, but you can. You absolutely can deliberately maintain your innocence. And the kicker on top of that, you can be sophisticated at the same time.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, you just have to look at Constance right there, and you see innocence and sophistication in one package, right? As far as I'm concerned, that's what I see when I look at you. I see both innocence and sophistication in one package. Am I right, Constance? If you have to be truly objectively honest.
Right. I'll own that.
Right. There you go. Right. I mean, just so. Yeah. Okay. I try to be innocent, but I might not look like it, but still, we
but
can
you
definitely
are
do
still.
that.
You're fun and playful and innocent and pure, and yet also sophisticated and refined.
Right. We definitely can do both. And that's the thing with that I is more than one. I'm still on that theme because you asked me to expand on it. That's the magic of I being more than one. We can be what seemingly contradictory at the same time. But because we're using things as appropriate, they all work together, and we extract the magic out of the moreness of us. We don't fight ourselves. We use ourselves to positive effect. So yeah, leveraging, for instance, like stubbornness. Hey, I'm going to be stubbornly determined to finish my things. I'm going to be stubbornly determined to do well. I'm going to be stubbornly determined to learn and grow. Wow, man, that's a fantastically way. It's Mr. Stubborn and that take pride in being impeccable. Wow, how fantastic is that? Just all of a sudden, I've leveraged those things into just enhancing me and leveraging me to that next plane of more. It's profound. So yeah, making that integration is a really, really big deal. It's huge. It's huge. Yeah, it's very interesting how you say you do it with the anxiety and that. It's very profound. Just on that point of anxiety, we can transform anxiety, worry, stress into, for instance, something positive like caution. It's the same thing. So it's about appropriate application of our goodness. So often we do things like being worried because we think we should be worried because that means I'm a good person. So it's an inappropriate application of goodness, and that's something that it's a big term for us. You know, it's in our power dictionary and all that. So when we understand that, yeah, our dictionary of power, yeah, it's a big deal. It's a very big deal. It's a big thing that we do. But nonetheless, when we do that and we transform that, we start to say, wow, you know what? Actually, it's my goodness that's making me worry because I think I should be worried because if I don't worry, that means I don't care, right? So that's a very big deal. But I could say, well,
that's
instead of,
that we tell ourselves, it perpetuates it.
exactly, instead of being worried, I can just shift that to caution. Oh, now it's a whole different deal. It's like, wow, okay, I'm being cautious, which doesn't mean I have to.
Yeah,
Right.
awareness.
Right. Or being thorough or being prepared or being strategic or all of that stuff. Right. So I've transformed it into a positivity. Same underlying thing, same actions, except one is not negative and the other one's positive. That's it. I've changed stress, joy.
That, Christine made an interesting comment. She said, saving things can get crowded though. Well, I think that's true with physical objects, but I think what Sil and I are talking about is energy and awareness.
Yeah.
They're all facets of the same diamond. You're not going to cut off one half of the diamond because you don't want it. They're all just reflections of different qualities and aspects of the divine. It's all energy, and energy it's infinite. It's not limited as we have, time and space is limited to only how many pillows I can put in this space. That infinite capacity, and those parts of ourselves like Ms. Pride or Mr. I forget what you said, but Mr. Stubborn, yeah. They're just reflections of energy that is an infinite source within us.
Right. Different ways. Now that crowded, if we say, yes, I is more than one and we have these different aspects, it can get crowded when those aspects are not at peace. It's like when you're in a room, right? And you're in a room full of kids and the kids are all running around all over the show. It may only be 2-3 kids, but suddenly that room is crowded. If the kids are chill and they're calm and they're at peace with themselves and they're not all frenetic and going crazy, well, then there's plenty of space in the room. So that's what we want to do. We want to make peace with those aspects so that we have that space. Because there really is space there. It's just because we're not at peace with them, now it feels crowded. So that's really the key. Yeah.
It's like the harmonious inner family or the harmonious executive board within you. When they're all working together and they all understand their roles and they all feel empowered in their roles, that they're making a positive contribution, then it's not a problem working with different aspects.
And they're not all saying, me, please pay attention to me. I need, that's the thing. So we don't have our inner aspects all jumping and crying for attention, making it crowded and overwhelming us and stressing us. No, we're at peace with them. We say, hey, no worries, you're cool. You're doing this. And they've all got their tasks and they're all being respected. They're all being appreciated. And so we love ourselves, all of ourselves, because we're taking that and we've transformed what's potentially a negative into a positive. It's huge. It's massive. Perspective shifting, in other words.
Well, I am noticing that it's 12:58.
Brilliant. We can talk all day.
I need to
we can talk
go.
All day. Right. No, fantastic. This was wonderful. Thank you, Constance. Oh, I love it.
As usual, time flies when we're connecting like this and sharing and
fun. Right.
Inspired by each other. But I want to say that I think did I tell you I wanted to do one? Yeah, we planned another one, I think, for next Friday, a week from this week.
Yes, correct.
And then in that one, we can hear more about your Way of Impeccability course.
That would be fabulous. So just to confirm, we're talking about Friday, not in 3-4 days time, but in a week and 3 days time, right?
Yes, next week.
Friday of next week.
Yeah. Right. I'll firm up the time with you, but around time, around 11 a.m.
Right. So, and then going forward, we'll be trying to do it regularly on the Fridays, right?
Yes.
We'll try.
Yes.
We'll try. We'll try. Just so that everybody knows. Yeah. So that would be kind of cool. Be nice to have it as a regular thing. That's awesome. And then also
Right.
for anybody, yeah, feel free to leave comments. Even if you see this after the fact, we will respond to all those comments. We love comments and we reply to all of them.
Absolutely.
And that interactivity is very important because it's collaborative. 1 + 1 + 1 = more. We love that. It's very important to us, right?
Right.
Connie?
And I want to thank everyone who came. I know
Yes.
I can't see on the comments, but thanks to Mary and Christine for typing in your comments. That really is fun to engage with
Why?
you and
Why?
to hear responses. And I know there's several other people that are here that didn't
Why?
comment. So
Why?
for
Right. Just
coming.
two more that joined late. Mark Mandel and Miko Nutella joined and say, hey, Miko, I know Miko. I don't know Mark. I hope to know Mark. But that's brilliant that you guys joined. So, yeah, we're just about to wrap it up. I don't know how long ago you joined. Facebook's not exactly working right. But, really thank you. We truly appreciate you guys joining because for us, yes, I want to know about Connie. And I have my own personal reasons. And that's just how I operate. But I also want to share Connie with you guys. And, I'm sure the vice versa. We want to share what we do. And it's
Yes.
not just the two of us, it's all of us. It's a collaborative issue. That's the whole thing of all this. So we really do appreciate the joining and the connectivity. It's very important to us. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Brilliant. Brilliant. All right. Brilliant. And we'll meet again. And thanks again to everybody. And now I got to figure a way to end this. So I'm not sure. My usual
Many
end
blessings.
meeting button has disappeared here. So there we go. All right. End meeting and end meeting for all. Bye bye.
We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.